Okay, so good morning, everybody. First of all, thanks to the organizer. I think it's a very nice initiative, and we're very happy to share ideas in this very short format with this wonderful clock that reminds us the timing. So, as it is a very short format and already 1 minute has passed, instead of talking about the different architectures that we've done, we decided to talk to you of what we seek or what we pursue in our architecture. So I'm trying to only use 7 concepts in 7 minutes. So the first one, making architecture with or making with, refers to our understanding nowadays that thinking, constructing, writing about architecture should be in harmony with our environment, taking into account even the smallest aspects, such as the microorganisms shown in this image, that our eyes sometimes don't perceive, but contribute to our well-being. That means for us, for example, taking in account every single movement of soil. At the same time, we need to be aware that we're currently in a moment of great vulnerability, and as depicted in this image from a recent trip we had in Iceland, where we could really witness the melting of the glaciers. Additionally, just before landing in Madrid 2 days ago, I captured this image from the plane, which shows the impact left by an abandoned quarry. This highlights of always working with the priority of taking care of the natural environment, and that means sometimes setting aside our ego as architects. So this is an image of the workshop before the rehabilitation, and since the beginning, the idea of this project was to preserve as much as possible and demolish only if necessary. Actually, we were the only one in the competition who decided to preserve it. So here you have an image of all the concrete that we could preserve. And here you can see the changing. It was mostly a change of energetic and of new facade, but that allowed us to keep tons of concrete that would, if not, would have been demolished. Therefore, as you can see, this is an image that one of the residents, those workshops are for disabled and elderly people, and they sent us this because they were very happy, and for us it was a great moment to see how at the end is the natural environment that gives also sense to your project, and this is one of the side of the workshops recovered by snow. So therefore, making with implies collaborating with the natural environment, and it's basing architecture on the principle of not harming, but rather healing. So the second concept or theme, geometry and placemaking. For us, there is no form without geometry, and we understand geometry as the foundation for creating spaces and fostering encounters. Here you can see a diagram, a very known one, by Aldo Van Eyck, the architect, that illustrates very easily how a geometric circle can be both an opening towards the outside and a force that brings people together. The following project took place in Lyon. It was a participation in the Biennale d'Art, and we did it with our students with a design proposal that really was trying to integrate the built environment, especially taking into account the geometry of the Place des Terreaux, which is a principal place at Lyon. So as you can see here, the arrangement of all the pavilions, the pathway connecting them, were carefully designed to reflect and enhance this built existing environment. So the following image is from a project in Switzerland, in Aubonne. We had to insert 2 buildings in this vegetal environment, we were aiming to minimize the cutting down of the existing trees. As you can see, the buildings are inserted into the environment, aiming to have the less impact. And also, how do we use geometry? In the next image, you see that how we use the geometry within a stable form, a square, and the idea is moving the interiors to generate small corridors, creating small spaces for gatherings. In the following image, this is the other building which is in front of the workshops, and one are the workshops for elderly people, and this is the housings for them. So in the following image, we can observe how we use geometry as an idea that it's like a protective shelter that protects, envelopes the building, even taking in account the roof. So one building is an extroverted building with a lot of light, where there is the activity of the workshops. The other one is a much more introverted building with only one material. In this following image, you can see how we use the geometry. There is very subtle inflections in the wall, providing uniqueness to each room. Or, for example, in the pool area, the windows frame the landscape, while on the roof, the intentional geometry was to resonate with the mountains. The third one, time-woven forms. Time is a skillful weaver of forms. In this image, taken during a trip to Cambodia, we can observe how this house cleverly built to adapt to the passage of time, and especially to the river floods. And in this image, you can see how, to a greater or lesser extent, consciously we establish a relationship between form and past. In this case, our inspiration was from the variations of the window in the Palazzo Medici. Or, as also in this image, the importance of materiality and the integration into the landscape is also emphasized. The first one, for us, is very important, embracing simplicity. We believe that our task is to simplify and build with less whenever possible. As depicted in this image of this incredible Dugun village, the village is created actually with one or two forms and one unique material, and it works really quite well. This other image, I don't know if you know him, it's from the artist Andy Goldsworthy, and he shows us how a single element can engage a dialogue with the landscape. Also, we see in this image that simplicity in architecture means reducing complexity. It focuses on essential forms, clean lines, and harmonious balance. It values clarity, functionality, and a sense of calmness. Balancing reversibility and specificity. We are nowadays talking a lot about reversibility. We believe that it doesn't mean that because your building needs to be reversible, you cannot be also specified. So we have to commit to ensure that our buildings are easy reversible. However, we understand that being reversible doesn't mean we cannot also provide a specific response to the site. I like these two following images because it captures the sense of what can be recovered, what stays after. This first image shows the structure recovered by nature. And the second one is one of our workshops where you can see the recovery of all the structure of our workshop. So it was like giving a second life to building. Before, I don't remember the group, she was giving a second life to the furniture. So as you can see also in this image, it was of another trip in Cambodia. Despite the simplicity of the architecture, there is a subtle ornamentation that makes the construction specific to its culture. Each element has a purpose, a meaning, and richness is often found in simplicity. In this image of our workshop, we strive for simplicity and repetition, while also paying attention to the specific arrangement of the thickness of the horizontal line. So while prioritizing reversibility, we also consider an architecture that is tailored to the specific needs, context, and requirements of each project. The last two concepts, harvesting the care. We have chosen this image of a marble quarry here in Carrara to illustrate the impact of extraction on a land. It reminds us of the decline caused by everything we extract. So our priority is always to try to preserve and take care of what is already there. We like this image of the both building, the one in front of the other, because they are surrounded by nature, almost as if it becomes to envelop them, with the idea of minimizing architecture and maximizing nature. For us, caring in architecture means considering the well-being of people. And as you can see also, it's also designing very specifically. So here you have a detail of the handrails, which really pay attention to the contours of our hands, or materiality that can be tactile and evoke a strong emotional response. The last concept, it will be very short, co-designing for thinking. What we do, through all the process of our project, since the beginning, once we won the competition, we hold very small workshops with future residents to share the ideas and try to incorporate them in our project. For us, it is important that they feel that the project that we are carrying out, they are participating in. Because we think that there is often a very big disconnection between those who think architecture, the architects, so those who build them, the construction, and those who inhabit it, the residents. So the purpose of these workshops is to foster a dialogue that often exists. And this last image, we see how architecture takes on its fullest meaning when people inhabit it. Thank you.